What's the most hypocritical thing a teacher ever did? My son's third-grade teacher confiscated his life-saving medical snacks because they contained sugar. So I went to the local farmer's market and destroyed her career with a dozen cupcakes. My 8-year-old son, Leo, has type 1 diabetes. If his blood sugar drops too low, he needs a juice box or fruit snacks immediately. It's not a suggestion. It's a medical necessity to prevent a seizure or coma. We had a doctor's note and a detailed plan we gave to all his teachers. But this year, he got Mrs. Davison. She was famous in the district for her strict, healthy classroom policy. She'd send notes home scolding parents for packing things like goldfish crackers, calling them processed poison. In her mind, the only acceptable snack was an organic fruit or vegetable. At our first meeting, I explained Leo's diabetes and showed her his emergency kit, which was clearly labeled. She looked at the juice boxes and fruit snacks with disgust. "I'm sorry, but we have a no-sugar policy in this classroom," she said. "A medical condition is not an excuse to break the rules. An apple will work just fine." I tried to explain that an apple's sugar acts too slowly during a critical low. She cut me off. "I've been a teacher for 20 years. I know what's best for children." The next day, she confiscated his emergency kit. 2 weeks later, I got the call I'd been dreading. Leo had a severe low-sugar episode during math class. Mrs. Davison gave him a few apple slices. His numbers kept dropping. He was pale and shaking. By the time the school nurse arrived with his emergency kit, he was barely conscious. When I met with the principal, he backed her up, saying the school supported a teacher's discretion in maintaining classroom health standards. That Saturday, I was at the local farmer's market. I noticed a very popular baking stand called Debbie's Delights. They were selling huge frosted cupcakes and cookies that looked like they contained a pound of sugar each. Behind the counter, smiling and handing a little girl a massive cupcake, was Mrs. Deborah Davison. I walked up to the stand. I bought a dozen of her most sugary cupcakes. As she handed me the box, I took a picture of her, smiling proudly behind her mountain of treats. On Monday morning, I called for an emergency meeting with Mrs. Davison and the principal. Mrs. Davison immediately launched into another lecture about my irresponsible food choices. The principal nodded in agreement. I let her finish. Then I opened the box from Debbie's Delights and placed it on the principal's desk. "You mean this kind of irresponsible?" I asked. Mrs. Davison's face went completely white. She stammered, denying she knew what they were. I slid my phone across the desk, showing the picture I had taken of her at her stand. "You took my son's life-saving medicine because it has sugar," I said, my voice shaking. "But you have no problem selling this garbage to other people's children on the weekend. You don't care about health. You're a hypocrite and a fraud." The principal just stared at the picture, then at the cupcakes, then at Mrs. Davison. She was fired by the end of the week. The school board investigation found out she had been using the school's kitchens after hours to bake for her business, which was a fireable offense on its own. Leo's new teacher keeps his emergency kit in a special basket right on her desk, and sometimes even asks him to remind her what to do in an emergency, just so he feels safe.